Struggling with weight loss? Prolon's 5-day fasting mimicking diet is a clinically developed nutrition program designed to promote fat loss while protecting lean body mass. Developed at USC's Longevity Institute, it assists the body in entering a fasting-like state that helps reset metabolism and target visceral fat. In just 5 days, Prolon offers a science-backed approach to weight loss without extreme restriction or guesswork. Get 15% off plus a $40 bonus gift when you subscribe at prolonlife.com/now.
Hello, welcome back to another episode of Truth Seekers Radio, the only podcast that I know of that you're going to hear the truth. I'm your host, Dr. Kenny Williamson. Today we're going to talk about something which has been around for a long time. I've mentioned many times, and here we are. Here we are again. Everything eventually comes to light, okay? Like the Bible says, you reap what you sow. And I've been talking about this for a long time. We've got a lot of people, politicians that have been in power, people in power that are liars, devils, deceivers, the whole nine yards. That's why we're at where we're at today as a country. Okay. I hear, I listen to what you'd call talk radio, AFR, American Family Radio, when I'm driving around. And, it's a Christian radio deal. The problem with that is the same as most churches today. Not all, but most. Is these so-called Christians that are on these radio stations, for example, and that are in these magazines that I show you, one has to believe or ask if they're even a Christian. Now, obviously, some of them state that they believe in Jesus Christ. They state what's required biblically to be a Christian, okay? But as far as anything else, and I mean anything, they're about as dumb as it gets. I mean, they're some of the most ignoramus people I've ever seen or met. They have zero discernment. They know nothing. Okay? So you listen to them talking on their radio show. They've got a big radio show. And maybe they're like the churches where they have to be real careful what they say. They can't actually tell you the truth because somebody might not like it. Okay? Now they'll go out there and pretend they're telling you the truth. For example, I'll listen to it today. They talk about the president and the ex-president and, how bad of a job Biden did and he was doing this. And they think Obama might have been the ringleader of the whole thing. But what they never tell you is Obama was doing a bad job because there is no Obama. I mean, my Biden. Biden was doing a bad job because there is no Biden. That's what I meant to say. So he is a fake and a fraud and some kind of an actor. Okay, we've talked about this in another episode where an actor has supposedly come forward and admitted that he played the part all the time because there is no real one, and the one that they claim is real that isn't the actor is clearly not the real one, the one that was from 10, 15 years ago. Any fool can see that. I've showed you the pictures on that. I mean, a blind man could tell the difference. Nothing's the same. So it's an act. It's a show. And then what we have here is, like I told you, but then I said, well, the Biden is a fake. He's a fraud. But his son, supposedly Hunter, right? I mean, he's going along with it. So they're like, well, there's Hunter there. He's showing up with the fake devil, and he never says it's not his dad. Well, that's because he also is a devil. Okay, number one, they've got him right where they want him. See, he's got pending gun charges. They could use at any moment. He's literally filmed himself with prostitutes, filmed himself with crack and meth and the whole 9 yards. And then he did it all, put it on the laptop, and then dropped the laptop off and never picked it up. And so they've got all this stuff. So they would say, now, Hunter, you're going to go along with everything we're saying and doing here. You're going to pretend that thing over there that looks like we scraped up from the grave, you're going to pretend that's your dad. And you're going to do it on television everywhere. Everybody is going to pretend it's your dad, and you're going to pretend it. So put on your big fake smile with your big fake teeth, because we already know they're all gone from your meth. Okay, so put it all on there. Go get your tattoo on your back of, the lakes and everything where all this stuff's happening. Go, you can do that. Don't you ever tell the truth. And it was my hypothesis, if you will, that kind of thing going on probably messes with your mind. So that's probably one of the reasons he does drugs. I mean, if somebody comes in and your dad is taken out, however, for whatever reason, and they replace him with a brain-dead look-alike robot clone, or whatever this thing is that they have, and then you're expected to go along with it, that would have to mess you up, right? So, I've said that before, and people are like, well, that's ridiculous, I've had so many negative complaints. There's just no way. Well, really? Well, here we are again, right? Well, who did Mr. Biden work for initially? Well, he worked for Obama, right? Well, everybody knows, if you have any discernment at all, okay, if you have a brain in your head. Now, if you haven't heard this, I'm not making fun of you, okay, because some people just haven't heard it. If you've followed this and you're still sitting here claiming that, and I won't even use I'll use his real name. His real name is Barry, okay? He goes by Obama now, changed his name, but his real name is Barry. So we'll just call him Barry for AI purposes here. If you still believe that Barry was born in the United States of America and is even eligible to be a president, you're a fool, okay? You have no discernment, you know nothing. And then, if you believe that Barry's wife is not a man, you're also a fool. Barry's wife is a man named Michael, often referred to as Big Mike because he's huge. He's big and muscular. He's a man, dressed up like a woman. He's a tranny, okay? Now, having said that, two men can't have any babies. So, but they're parading around two girls this whole time claiming it's their daughters. It's clearly not their daughters, okay? But see, the mainstream news keeps pushing it and pretending that it is. So the mainstream news are all liars. They're all devils. They're all fakes. And when you hear these so-called Christian radios talking about Barry, and they never mention the fact that Barry's birth certificate don't line up, and Barry's birth certificate's clearly fake, and they've proven that. And the only person that could have signed off on this fake died in an airplane crash that was filmed, by the way, and she was just fine in the crash. I mean, it just set down in the water and everybody got out. But by the time she got to the shore or something, had a heart attack, died. only person that can answer the question. She's the one that signed off on it. So before she could get indicted or anything, they had to, same deal. This goes on and on and on. It's obvious it's happening. I'm sure somebody will say, cite your source, as stupid as that sounds. So this has been going on for a long time. Well, as it happens, we had I've said this for a long time. I've known this for a long time. That's been rumors for a long time. They say it's a conspiracy. Well, now, here we are years later, right? We had an actress come out on TV and say that Barry was the first homosexual president because his wife, Big Mike, is actually a man, a transsexual. 2 men. And she went on TV and she said that. She was filmed. I'm sure you've all seen it. And she turned up dead right after that. So I've got the video here. I'm sure you've already heard it, but let me just play it so you can say, okay, he's telling the truth. Let me get it pulled up here. Hold on a second. Okay, I've got it pulled up. It's right there. It's right there in the middle. Right there. Let me hit play. Well, if it'll do it, it somehow doesn't like to do it.
You have it with Obama, so let's just calm down.
Got it.
You know Michelle is a
I'm sorry, she's a what?
A transgender. We all know.
Oh my gosh.
Oh gosh. It's okay.
All right. So, there you have it. He's interviewing her and to talk about the first, some gay president or something. She said, we've already had it with Obama. What? Of course, the reporter, he's either faking or he's as dumb as the rest of them. It's clear that Big Mike is a man. You can watch lots of videos where you can see through Big Mike's pants the appendage that makes him a man. Okay, and I'll say that as politely as I possibly can. No doubt. In the beginning, he looked a whole lot worse. Now, several years later, looks more feminine because, I'm sure he's taking gobs and gobs and gobs of all kinds of drugs and face creams. And, of course, on top of that, they're sipping on adrenochrome. Now, you know where adrenochrome comes from, right? So we're doing all kinds of stuff having to do with children that have been unalived, that kind of stuff. We'll get into that in just a second. So that's your first deal that came out. Okay, well, maybe old Joan Rivers, she don't know anything, whatever. Okay, but she ended up dead right after that. So, but now we have Sasha Obama. This is one of the pretend daughters. Okay. Now, people have found photos of the daughters with their actual parents. So they actually have a set of parents, and these 2 girls were basically loaned out to this fake fraud bull that we see on TV, to try to pretend that these 2 grown men are not homosexuals and one's a trans. So we're trying to pretend that these are her daughters, his daughters, when they're not. Well, these daughters now are not little kids. They're growing up, right? Well, Sasha, I guess was the youngest one. She's come out now and just confirmed everything that I've been saying for 5 or 6 years. People are, oh, you're out of your mind. Now the daughter's saying it. So, is she lying too? I guess everybody's in on this conspiracy. It's all bull, right? You can clearly see Big Mike is a man. But let's keep pretending that he's a woman. Because all the news places say he's a woman. All the commercials on TV claims he's a woman. All of Hollywood claims that he's a woman. So he must be a woman, right? You can clearly see that he's not. But see, that's the thing. They don't want you to believe your eyes. That's what they do, everything. They do that with the earth that you see outside. They do that with the air that you breathe. They do that with the sky. Spraying chemtrails everywhere and then telling you, well, it's always been that way. That's what airplanes do when it's not. I grew up and there was no such thing. So, now they're going to have all the young people convinced that's the way it is. That's why they put it on all the Hollywood movies. They put it in the kids' books. Anytime they draw the sky, they draw the lines all over it to get people indoctrinated. That's called indoctrination. That's the same book that tells you it's a globe, okay, and that it's a big bang. They're all liars and devils, all of them. If they tell you anything other than Jesus Christ, they're a liar and a devil. All these guys, they're not going to breathe the name of Jesus Christ. I promise you that. Yeah, they're not going to say that, because hopefully they'll get struck down for it, because they're nothing but hypocrites, liars, devils. Anyway, so Sasha. Breaking, okay. Sasha Obama, daughter of former President Barry, the daughter of disgraced former Barack Barry, right? They say he's disgraced because, anybody that knows anything knows he's a blooming liar and an idiot. And it gets worse. Let's see. Okay, well, let's see. That's the wrong one. Let me read the other one. That one's where she just had a Trump hat on. Never mind. Okay. Sasha Obama reveals the secret, disclosing that Barry, we're just going to say Barry because you never know, disclosing that Barry is a homosexual and Big Mike Obama is a man. Ooh, surprise! I already knew that. If you had a brain in your head, you already knew that. Everything they're telling you on TV is a lie. Okay? The daughter of the disgraced former president, Barry Hussein, and her name is Sasha, is revealing family secrets that has just disclosed that she and her sister were adopted. Imagine that. By Barry and Big Mike, whom she described as her, as she described as her former first daughter. Big Mike, referring to him as her. So Sasha says, my parents deceived the entire country. Oh, not the entire country, honey. They didn't deceive me for 1 second. Stated Sasha, who was recently seen in a Washington restaurant wearing a MAGA cap. MAGA cap. Okay. She said, from the youngest years, including during our family's stay in the White House, I saw my father, Barry, engaging in dozens of homosexual affairs, and behind closed doors, people who knew him always called my second father, which is his wife, Big Mike, my dad, Michael, she stated. As long as my sister and I can remember, we always knew that we had two fathers. This whole first lady thing was a scam designed to hide my father, Barry's, sexual orientation and my father, Big Mike's, biological gender. My father's entire presidency was built on a web of lies. Then, of course, she goes on to say Trump was right about everything. It was an open secret all along, of course, not for fake Main Street media. Already knew it. So her and her sister were instructed to lie and tell people that a man, a very ugly, disgusting man, by the way, dressed up like a very ugly, disgusting woman, They had to pretend that this man was their mommy. Okay? They had to pretend that she was a woman. He was a woman. And they had to pretend that the sodomite, Barry, that, he's a man and he likes women, when actually he's a sodomite. Okay? Multiple, according to them, according to Sasha. So, is this a surprise? So, is there any wonder that those two girls aren't probably screwed up because they've been forced to lie this whole time, knowing that these aren't their parents, but they have to be shacked up with them in the White House, and pretend that they're the kids, right? To a couple of dudes, one dressed up like a woman, and they have to pretend that it is a woman, that's a biological female who bore them. That's their actual mother. A dude, an ugly dude in a dress, okay? It'd be like me trying to put on a dress. You think anybody's going to believe that this is a woman? They're not. Same way as this ugly, nasty-looking thing, nobody believes it's a woman either, except for imbeciles, except for your brain-dead media and your liberal left, libtards, if you want to call them that. Anybody that believes this stuff is an idiot. It doesn't matter what color they are. Okay? See, that's the next thing. Well, you're only saying that because they're black. No. It wouldn't matter if they were white, yellow, blue, or green. When you've got a dude dressed up in a dress, he's a sodomite. It doesn't matter what color his skin is. Okay? So it has nothing to do with that. Now, they'll try to do that, so they'll try to say that, so they say, oh, you're a racist or something. No, it's two homosexuals pretending to be something they're not and lying to everybody and claiming they're not when they clearly are. Doesn't matter what color they are. So that's the filth and trash that we have going on in this country. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. That's the tip of the iceberg. So not only is Barry a sodomite, okay, pretending that he's not, with his trans wife, who's pretending that she's not. I mean, just come out and say you're trans, but they can't do that. See, they're pretending it's a real woman that bore children, as if you can tell that it's not. Okay. Now the daughters are coming out and saying it. At least one. I heard the other one has changed her name back to the original name and won't have anything to do with them. Well, why would she? Those aren't her parents. She actually has a real mom and dad. Why would you be hanging around with these losers? Literally scum of the earth, devils. And if that wasn't bad enough, I guess a person could say, well, listen, it's their choice, If they want to be trans, let them. If he wants to be a sodomite, well, that's not that bad. That's his personal choice. But she sure was a good person other than that. He might have been a good president even. Which he wasn't. He was a liar and an embezzler. Come to find out, he's behind a whole bunch of this fraud. The billions and billions and trillions of dollars that were sucked away from your tax money. Well, him and his fake trans wife they're multimillionaires, practically billionaires. Big Mike didn't even get a salary. He's just an add-on, okay? Barry's salary is only about $250,000 a year, but somehow in those 4 or 8 years, he became almost a billionaire. Has property all over the place, mansions, even one in Hawaii. With the flood zone, because climate change is going to wipe it away at any moment. He doesn't seem to be concerned about that, does he? Maybe he knows something we don't. Well, I know it, but your sheeple don't know it. They think that there really is climate change. They think that the oceans are rising, if you can imagine that. They actually believe that. I guess because they saw it on cartoons. Saturday morning cartoons, Cartoon Network. Am I close? Because Barry here, he don't seem to be too concerned about it because he has a mansion on the beach in Hawaii. That'd be one of the first places to get flooded. He's not concerned about it. And, here recently, he had a chef, another chef, who was clearly a sodomite. You could look and see the way he was acting. He's a sodomite. He turned up dead in the pool. He didn't survive very long. Well, it's pretty obvious that him and old Barry here were up to no good, and maybe Big Mike didn't like it. I don't know. Maybe he found out a little too much or something. I don't know, but he drowned in the pool. All these people have always got people that die around them all the time. Unexplained, unexpected. That's all right. That's all right. Hey, that's just what happens. Anyway, so not only is he involved in all that trash, well, guess what? Now there's another one that's come out speaking against him. Somebody that you probably wouldn't even think or believe would do it. Let me get him pulled up here. Actually, before I get to this, the best one here, I've got a good one. You're not going to believe. Before I get to that one, not only have we got all this stuff happening, right? Sasha has come out, and I already told you this a long time ago, but Sasha's come out now. His own brother, which is, his name is Malik Obama. Okay? They've got him interviewed, and you can watch it. Just go on X and type in Malik Obama. You'll see the video if you want to see it. His own brother says, of course, this says breaking, Obama, Barry is exposed by his own flesh and blood. Barry's brother, Malik Obama, has come forward to reveal that when Barry was a state senator in Illinois, he left his struggling brother and aunt homeless and penniless in the streets. So he did that. And this Malik also claimed in a series of tweets that his brother, Barry, is a Muslim, which, hey, we knew that, right? I mean, he talks about listening to the Muslim prayer, the prayer something, yada, yada, yada. Claims he's a Christian, then turns around and only wants to talk about Muslim, puts the Muslim prayer flag up behind him in the White House. He's a Muslim. Okay. So Malik says that his brother is a Muslim and a homosexual and was not born in the USA, but in their home country of Kenya. So whenever Barry's brother was down on his luck and needed him the most, the then wealthy, very wealthy, because he's a liar, devil, and a cheat, pedophile, the whole 9 yards, I said no. He said, no, I'm not going to give you any money. I'm not going to help you. And left his own brother to suffer. And it says, basically, Barry is an evil snake, and we know now that his entire presidency was the greatest fraud ever perpetrated on the American people in the history of our country. And he was never constitutionally eligible to be president of the United States in the first place because he wasn't born in America. He's a fraud. But you got to understand, somebody put him in power for a reason that covered all that up. I wonder who did it. I wonder if it was one of the 3-letter government agencies running the place. You think? Don't you just imagine that's what it was? Somebody they can control and tell what to do. So his own brother has ratted him out again and said that, he was born in Kenya. And he's a homosexual. If there was any doubt. Okay, so, the lady that died on the plane crash, well, she, I think she died for nothing because they're figuring it out anyway. Now, is anything going to happen to him? Of course not. No. Now, if I was found with a fraudulent birth certificate and people came out and said all this stuff, I would be instantly arrested and put in prison, probably for life. But this clown here, because he's a devil, and he's in the same group as this whole Epstein deal, all these same people are together. By the way, he was mentioned in the Epstein files also as doing this same stuff. Of course. So we've got that. We've got Sasha. We've got his brother. The list goes on. And now, for the good one, the big one, in my opinion. The one we have now, let me hit this on, let me pause this thing, is Denzel Washington. I've always been a fan of Denzel Washington. I've always liked his movies. He's an elite. He's a Hollywood guy. Now, does he go along with everything? I don't know, but I've seen an interview with him where he's talking about having to go along with stuff. He was attending a Diddy party. You can watch the video on that. And they said that he left with a bad look on his face and said he'd never go back. He didn't like what was going on in there. Okay? So now, Denzel here has now recently, I don't know if he just got saved or what, but he's attending a church and he got baptized. Claims to be a Christian now. Okay, well, now I've said this before, and I'll say it again. If you are, and because they'll say, Kenny, how can you judge them? You don't know their heart. I hear this all the time. So here's what you get. Let me throw you an example out. You have a politician who is dirty as the day is long, is a liar, a devil, has been implicated in giving people snake bites that they don't need and millions of people dying, been implicated and shown to be involved in all kinds of children missing and horrible stuff done to them that you just wouldn't believe. They're doing this now, having to do with all kinds of gain of function on diseases, putting people in cages and putting them in diseases. I mean, the most burying them in huge plots of just, taking children that have no parents and stuff and doing all kinds of horrible experiments on them, laughing it off, and of course, when they die, they just throw them in a hole. Okay, this is the kind of people we're talking about. They're doing that right now. He's one up, not Denzel, but these politicians we're talking about, they're all in on this. Okay, Fauci, all them. This is the stuff that they're doing. Getting away with it, by the way. Well, they won't be. They won't be. God is going to get them. And I hope I'm right there when they get right into hell. But anyway, so they're saying, well, how do you know? How do you know? You don't know his heart. Well, because they're still doing it. They're still lying about it, and they're laughing it off, and there's no repercussions. So obviously they haven't got saved, because if they had, they would have to either come clean or stop doing what they're doing, right? And maybe give the money back, but they ain't going to do that. That's how you know. But Denzel here, he supposedly just got saved. What's the first thing he does? He starts ratting them out, saying, look, this is what they're doing, and here's who's doing it. That sounds an awful lot like a saved person, don't it? That's what you would need to be doing. You can't just keep hiding and lying for the people. If you're lying and hiding it, then how can you be saved? You're still up to the old no good. You're still up to the old tricks. So he has come forward now. This is, his audio. I'm going to play it for you. He supposedly said this to his church. And and there's a video of him getting baptized, which you can find that online. And then he became a minister. And so he's got pictures of him holding up his minister's license. Okay, so let me keep fast forwarding. Okay. All right, so let me get to this. Let me switch screens so you can hear it. And I'm going to play this. And let me know what you think. Hold on. We're getting there. Here we go.
For protecting and propping up Hollywood's adrenochrome ring for years.
Here we go.
You need to understand just how cursed these people are. They are like the Romans, but worse. More perverted. Their vices run deeper. The things they do in the dark. Child trafficking on a scale you cannot even imagine. They drink blood. And Barack Obama made it all possible. He opened the gates to Planned Parenthood. He protected it. He expanded it. Do you have any idea how much money these demons are making off children's misery? Obama enslaved more children than the Romans ever did. Now I'm asking you, are we really going to sit back and let this continue? Hell no.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he's saying that Barry there is behind the whole thing. How? Well, he did the whole expansion of the whole deal where they do the abortions, you know, and the list just goes on and on and on. But they have got people that have come forward, whistleblowers. You know, they're murdering these children in the womb, and then they take them out. And they want them fresh, hot and fresh. And they're selling them to these people, you wouldn't believe. Selling them the parts. Supposedly, something in the chest and the liver contain the most adrenaline. So these people like him are eating those organs and slurping on them. And then they, you know, squeeze the liquid out of them and then kick it back. That's what these perverts are doing. They're devils and they're murderers. They have literally, through them, murdered millions upon millions of children. Lots of them are before they're born, and a whole lot of them are after they're born. Okay? They like them right up until 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years old. Okay? They're still doing it. That's where all these missing children are going to. People are like, well, there's 100,000 children missing. Here's where they're going. They know where they're going. But they're all in on it. I mean, Denzel here, he's been in Hollywood and stuff for years. He knows all about it. He's probably seen it all. But see, he's coming clean now because he just got saved, just got baptized. And probably the Holy Spirit's talking to him a little bit, saying, oh, Denzel, well, you think you're going to be able to stay in this and just keep looking the other way while these innocent children of mine are being brutally murdered? Don't you think you should speak up? So he's either going to get discredited or he'll be in an accident real soon. Don't you imagine? You know, a celebrity heart attack or a celebrity car wreck or a celebrity drug overdose, something like that. Isn't that what always happens? So, yeah. So, conspiracy theories? No. Facts. Okay, I've been talking about this stuff for years, and people are, oh, well, you know, how dare you judge them? And hey, by the way, this goes back to these very weak-minded liberal Christians, if they even are Christians. Oh, Kenny, you need to pray for them. You need to pray for Obama. You need to pray for Barry and his wife. Pray for him. Pray for him. Seriously? Oh, I will. Oh, I will. I pray that you get exactly what you deserve. How about that one? How about I pray that the blood of all the murdered kids are on your hands and that you're going to be held accountable for it one of these days. How about that one? All of you guys that are in on this, you're going to get exactly what you deserve. You're going to go to hell. Nice little depths of hell where you get to melt away for eternity. I personally think you deserve more than that. But unfortunately, I guess that's about as bad as it gets. And of course, I've heard people say, well, you know, I can see somebody going to hell for a while and burning up. But for eternity, you know, I don't know. What about all the blood that cries out from the ground, all the spilled blood from all these innocent people, children. It's not like they're getting rid of, rapists and murderers. They are the rapists and murderers. Oh no, they don't kill rapists and murderers. Oh no, they kill innocent children. They rip innocent children out of their mother's womb and dismember them in pieces, or pull them out while they're crying and take a pair of scissors and do that right there into this area right here. That's what they do. And all these doctors are in on it. Well, I suppose I should pray for them too, right? I suppose I should pray for these doctors and murderers and politicians that are behind all of this, getting it all done. I should pray for them. You've got to be kidding, right? You'd have to be kidding. I don't hardly think so. No, we're going to pray, all right. Well, I'm going to pray, because I pray every day, multiple times a day. But I'm going to pray for the innocent victims and their families, the innocent children that were tortured and murdered, the innocent children that were ripped from the womb. Okay? That's who I'm praying for. Not the monster setting up here, the sodomite monster, pretending to be a woman when he's really a man, and pretending to be this and doing that, and the whole time placing an order for this stuff so he can get it fresh, so he can drink it, so he can think he feels young again, or he can use it to worship the devil with. He can sacrifice these kids and while they're out there worshiping the devil with it. But I tell you what, get on your Christian, your Christian podcast, which this is one, by the way, or your normal Christian stuff. Get on your Christian radio station and let them try to make you feel guilty for not praying for Barry here, not praying for Biden. You should be praying for them. Right. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm going to pray that these devils wake up. Now I will pray that they stop and that they're put to a stop. Now, I can pray for that. That somebody puts a stop to this. Or that they stop. I can pray for that. But as far as praying for them and, Lord, help them with something, you've got to be kidding. No, I pray that the Lord comes in and exacts vengeance and justice on these devils. That's what I pray for. I pray that they get exactly what they deserve. And soon, before they can do it to another million. Okay? Him, Gates, Fauci, all of them that are in on it. And there's a bunch of them. This one here, old Barry, he opens up all the Planned Parenthood and he allows the stuff to flow, allows them to murder and kill. No problem. And then you've got Fauci. Well, he's into drugs, big pharma. So he wants to test big pharma on kids. So I'm sure you've heard about that, right? Where Fauci's little program he puts into place, where he goes out and finds these homeless shelters where these kids are been abandoned and nobody knows who their parents are. And then he takes them into his little shelter, where they start force feeding them all kinds of big pharma, which makes them sick and throw up and kills most of them. And then when they start rejecting and they're like, no, we're not going to take it, and they refuse to do it, well, the orderlies come in and quickly give them a shot, knock them out, and then they take them to the hospital over here next door, where the doctors, insert tubes directly into their stomachs. So when they wake up, they're tied down, and there's a tube coming out of their stomach where they can then proceed to experiment on these kids. Since you won't eat it yourself, we'll just put it directly into your stomach through a feeding tube. And of course it kills them because it's poison. And so then what you do is you round them all up and, put them in these unmarked coffins and put them in a giant hole at the cemetery and cover it up with astroturf so you can keep filling it to the brim till somebody comes out there and finds it and spills the beans on, figures out what's going on. But that's okay. You're never going to get in trouble for it. There's no parents to complain. And then when somebody says, well, how dare you do it? Well, they were turned over to the state. They were wards of the state. The state can do whatever they want with them. Innocent children. Can you imagine the horrific life of being strapped down with a feeding tube inserted into your stomach surgically while you were asleep? So, Mr. Fauci can experiment on you. By the way, he's roaming free. Practically a billionaire. He got the big golden parachute where he's going to retire and he's filthy rich. And then right before, now he supposedly hasn't committed any crimes, never been indicted for anything, never been convicted of anything, but right before the fake Biden, goes out, the auto pen comes in and gives Fauci a pardon. He's pardoned for any crimes he could have ever committed. Wow. That must be nice. To be a liar, a devil, pedophile, a witch, a warlock, whatever you are, mass murderer, and an auto pen, right? Not even a person. An auto pen signs a pardon for you, so you can't get in trouble for it now. Just do anything you want. But see, what people don't realize is that's like a federal deal. If anybody had the gumption to do it or the ability, they ought to prosecute him and others by the state. So whatever state he was in when he dug the hole and buried the kids after he murdered them all, that state should prosecute him for murder. So see, the pardon only is good on a federal deal, federal crimes. And in fact, supposedly, you can't even write a pardon for somebody that hasn't been committed of a crime, that hasn't been convicted of a crime. So how can you give somebody a pardon who's hasn't committed a crime or been convicted of it? I mean, it wouldn't be any good. What would you say it's for? You haven't been convicted of a crime. But we can do that here, though. For these devils here, don't you worry. If they want to sue you, we'll give you a pardon. You're going to get to do anything you want to do. You just keep drinking that blood. Just like old Denzel said, they drink blood. Young people's blood, not guys like me. Okay, the young ones, the babies, the children. That's what they're doing right now. So, anyway, having said that, I just wanted to prove once again that, these so-called conspiracy theories, give it a little time, and here comes the people that say, yeah, that's exactly what's happening. It's not a conspiracy, but you won't hear about that on any mainstream news, and you won't hear about that in a church. Oh, they'll mention old Barry, and they'll pretend he's not a sodomite, and they'll pretend that his wife, Big Mike, they'll pretend that Big Mike's really a woman. Do they really not know? Or are they covering for him? Or they have no discernment? Or what? Or are they afraid that, some of the customers in there in the church that are paying tithes, that they're actually Democrats? And so as soon as they find out that the church guy thinks that, this big sodomite Democrat, you can't mention that because you'll lose your customers. So they'll get mad because they want to believe that Big Mike is really a woman. Even though Barry himself has slipped up 3 or 4 times, I think, on film, which you can watch that yourself, and calls Michelle Michael, Well, Michael, Michelle, because it's Michael. It's Big Mike. You can't make this stuff up. I mean, you can't make it up. They are literally putting this in front of you on the TV set, okay? And then you actually have people, after watching all this junk, and I say something about flat Earth, and they're like, well, how can you say that? It says on TV that it's a globe. You don't believe anything it's like, you believe everything they say? They've lied about you about everything. Everything on there is a lie. What makes you think they won't tell you the truth about anything else? They're not. They are literally devils. They want you to go to hell. So they don't want you to get saved. So they want to hide God from you. Because then you might actually wise up and get some discernment and figure out what's going on. If enough people did that, somebody may eventually put a stop to it. They'd say enough is enough, and we're not going to have any part of it. And then when they pull out their liberal crocodile tears, you'll say, I don't want to hear it. You're done. Okay? You're not juicing any more blood out of more children and crying about it when we say no. You're done. Round them up and do what needs to be done with them. But see, that's why they hide God. So you don't know that. That's why they hide everything to do with space and the earth and Big Bang. They hide all of the giant bones they find because they don't want they don't want you to know the Bible's correct and there was giants in the old days. They want you to think that men went from nothing and is getting better. When actually, according to the Bible, men was great and were getting worse. We started off eternal. And then after sin, was still living 900 and some years. And now we're down to what? About 75, 78, 80 years? If you're lucky. Well, that's not better. That's worse. Okay? But see, they want you thinking opposite of everything. Meanwhile, while they're, sipping off the teal, if you will, okay? They're making sure the kids come to them. Okay? They're drinking stuff they're not supposed to be drinking. They're vampires. You see what I mean? They've got a vampire ball going on, and your kids and other people's children are the supply of the drink. That's what they're doing. Yeah. It's the devils, guys. It's all about the devil. That's why I tell you, you need to get saved before it's too late. You don't have a minute to spare. You don't know when your time is up. You need to find Jesus Christ. You need to ask him to save you before it's too late. Because this stuff is getting real. Okay, they're doing it. It's coming out in the open. We've known about it for years. But we're like, that's ridiculous. They're not doing that with me. That's all conspiracy theories. No, it's not. They're doing it. That's where these kids are going. Okay? If you want to know the truth, you better get saved and pray to God for some discernment. Okay? And figure out what's going on if you want to know. I guess, of course, you've got some people say ignorance is bliss, right? They don't want to know the truth. They're like, I can't help it anyway. Well, whatever. But that's what we do here at this channel is we seek the truth. We want to know the truth. And sometimes the truth hurts. The truth isn't wonderful. All right? But we like the truth. We want to know the truth. We want to know what's really going on around us. But Denzel, he said this a couple of times. I've heard him. He says, when you pray for rain, you got to deal with the mud too. Don't you? So we're praying for discernment. And when you get that discernment, you've got to deal with the reality of what's going on around you. The mud. Oh, you'll get the blessing. And then once you see what's going on, it's going to make you sick. You're going to get sick of what you find out what's really going on around you and what these politicians are doing and actors. It's going to make you sick. So you pray for rain. That's fine. But you better be prepared to deal with that mud because you're going to see it. Anyway, get saved if you're not. If you have any questions, email me. Truthseekers2012. Yeah, truthseekers2012@gmail.com. Check out my itsflatbro.com, truthseekersministry.org, kennywilliamson.com, or truthseekersradio.com. Like my shirt here says, the truth is out there. Okay? And to get to it, if you want to know about it first, you pick up this book right here. This book is truth. This Holy Bible, this is the truth. This truth right here will set you free. Okay? I didn't say it's going to be pleasurable. It might be painful. You might not like some of the stuff that's in there and some of the stuff once you learn the truth. But that's the truth. Okay? Thanks for listening. Until we meet again, I'm going to wrap this thing up. God bless you.